Hey there neighbors, welcome back to the channel. This is Anarchy in the 603, and you are in for yet another postcard from your friendly neighborhood anarchist. Absolutely nobody's favorite, D-tier production quality, unedited or lightly edited, off-dome dispatch from wherever I am to wherever you happen to be right now. And currently I'm in my basement studio. You can probably hear the turtle tank over there. That's my snapping turtle, Gar. Anyway, I digress. I came to talk today, briefly about, a couple of the comments I've gotten recently. One sec. So yeah, recently I've gotten a couple of comments from some new viewers, basically telling me that I need to suck it up and not complain. You know, they suffered some horrible thing, and they pushed through and sucked it up and never complained. And I just wanted to address that today. First and foremost, I don't care. I mean, I care that you went through shit. I care that nobody gave you the empathy and the kindness and the validation that you suffered. I care about that. I care that we live in such a deliberately cruel and unnecessarily unjust society where someone can go through literal hell and yet go unacknowledged and yet suffer still. Like one of my prior commenters was talking about how she was continually sexually assaulted by her husband from the time she was 14 till she was 19, in an abusive relationship. And for one, a culture that would let a 14-year-old get married, that's a problem. For two, that's terrible that happened to you. But at the same time, that's not going to stop me from complaining. And it's not even because of some suffering Olympics thing here. Like, let's be frank. Let's be frank. The first time that I ever had my innocence shattered, the first time that I had someone shove their male appendage into my mouth, I was 3. Okay? And I was continually assaulted in every way you can imagine. The wrong violations that someone could put a child through for 6 years, from when I was 6 until I was 12, Monday through Friday, every day. So, I'm not here to play suffering Olympics. I'm not saying that my pain is better or greater or worse or more valid because I started suffering at 3 and this person started suffering at 14. By no means. What I'm saying is, it's sick that any of it had to happen at all. And frankly, I encourage them to complain too. I encourage more people to complain. Like, people always wonder why I have so many fucks to give. Let's just say. People wonder why I have so many fucks to give about so many things. And it's like, well, I've had a lot of shit in my life. And when you get given a load of shit, either you use it for fertilizer, or you let yourself get buried in shit. And frankly, I would rather fertilize my field of fucks with the shit I give a shit about. So I'm going to give a shit of all this shit that's been given me. And I'm going to fertilize it. I'm going to fertilize the fucks that I have to give so that I can flourish and maybe do something about it. Like, it's sick to me that a 3-year-old, that a 14-year-old, that anybody would have to suffer in silence and go unheard and unnoticed and unvalidated. It is appalling to me that anybody in this country who, like this one commenter, had herniated disc and has been like living with crippling back pain their whole lives, or someone like myself who has a degenerative genetic disorder that, I mean, I was born with. I didn't even know I had it till I was like in my 30s, because it's so hard to detect. There's no test for it. You just have to have enough go wrong with you that someone can draw all of these things wrong with you together in the bushel bucket and go, oh shit, you know, that happens to a lot with people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Like, it is appalling that people should be able to suffer like that physically and yet be told, well, you know, you only cry for a few hours at night when you get home, and you only have to wear a brace on your back, your knee, your ankle, medical tape on your hands, and you know, something on your rotator cuff to reduce swelling. You can still work. Like, it is appalling to me that we have a system that requires you to break yourself to the point of a crippling degeneration in the entirety of your quality of life, and then will put you through enough of a Byzantine system that you end up being further traumatized by the whole process. And in the meantime, while you are attempting your 4 years on average to potentially win this thing, if you get caught for 1 minute starving hard enough where you need to try to go back to work, and even if you fail, you damn near you tried, that could be enough proof for them to say that you had to work. Mind you, 4 years for anybody going without an income. I mean, thank God that I have housemates and a husband who can help share this load, because I lost a couple of grand a month in income, y'all. And for 4 years, with rising prices and everything, through the end of a pandemic, I started losing. Things started getting harder upstairs during the pandemic, but post-pandemic is when shit really broke for me. But anyway, yeah, most people, the system would rather you die or give up and break yourself more. And break yourself more and break yourself more. As it is to this point, between my physical limitations and my mental health, there are weeks at a time where I can get up and maybe drag myself out to do a couple of hours worth of errands. But at the end of the day, I have no energy to the point where, I have no other energy but for those errands. And I cannot eat. I cannot shower. I cannot take care of myself, because all of that just takes up too much physical and mental energy. And the errands I need to complete, or the responsibilities that I have, are all that I can do. And it sickens me that we would put people in a position like that, where that is to the point where they get to, or lower. And if they do not have the resources for people who care about them enough to keep them afloat long enough to fight for 3 to 4 or more years, fuck you then, I guess, right? So no, guys, I'm not going to stop complaining. I am not, because the inequality in this system, the deliberate innate cruelty in this system that is packaged into it, just to make you prove that you are, beaten enough by life. Given that we have a handful of people at the top of this pyramid scheme, this Ponzi scheme that is America's wealth system, just pick any 5 at the top. 1% of their income could virtually eradicate the worst of all poverty and homelessness in this country. But taxation is theft, and if you're taking hard-earned money from these billionaires, generational wealth that their parents or great-grandparents earned, or the hard-earned money. So basically, again, they're at the top, and it requires all these hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of people to generate that wealth upward. Pyramid scheme to me. I'm supposed to care about them? I don't. I have a whole field, plentiful, of shit I give a shit about. And my field of fucks that I have left to give about what anyone thinks of me and how I live my life and how I choose to present my information or what I'm thinking and feeling, that field is barren. That field is so barren that the earth is salt crusted. There are crystals forming of the salt in the earth in my former fertile field of fucks. I'm from New England, guys. I'm a New Hampshire girl born and raised, and one thing that we do, top notch, beyond most people I know of, we bitch about shit. Okay? We do. We complain, and we are sour people. Like, one of my favorite turns of phrase about here in New England is, must be nice. Oh, yeah, there's Brian over there, he's got himself a new truck, a little new toy to play with. Mama couldn't have said no to him, no. Must be nice. Yeah, must be nice to have the luxury to complain to somebody about how much they're complaining. A person that you've never met, whose life you've never lived, whose shoes you've never stood in. Must be nice to have the luxury to be so comfortable in yourself that you feel comfortable telling somebody else how to live their life and what they can say and do in their own backyard or in their own basement. Must be nice. Must be nice to be so self-assured of your rightness and your justification to be so rude and to be so counter to the rules of my culture. Because, I may be from New England. I'm a New Hampshire girl born and raised, but I'm also culturally Filipina, as well as being of this place. And one thing that both the New Hampshire people and also Filipino people share in common a lot is our sense of hospitality and our sense of courteousness, what you're going to say to somebody to their face on their home ground when they have invited you into their home. I didn't have to have you over here. You didn't have to click on my videos, but here you are. And yet, you tell me what I can do in my own place? Fuck you, buddy. I have had enough of irrational shit in my life. I have been, like many of you will never know what it is like to understand that the man who is heralded as a war hero, who armed with only a machete in the jungles of the Philippines during the 1940s, who cut off the heads of Japanese soldiers in silence, this brutal man who brutalized my mother, who then became a brutal woman herself. Do y'all ever come from a country where, everyone literally, everyone has been raped, assaulted physically, or they have a family member who was either of these things, and they've got a family member or a friend or somebody who was also murdered. Literally everyone on the island. Everyone on the island's archipelago of the Philippines. By the time of the Bataan Death March, I don't think there was a single person in the islands of the Philippines who had been born there over the course of the last 600 years that did not have their way of life somehow irreparably harmed, and their family line irreparably changed by the sheer volume of the murder and infanticide and sexual assault that happened during the World War II era of the Philippines and the years prior. None of y'all will not, maybe a few of you out there may know, But Filipino people, Filipino creators online, you know, we don't tend to speak up much. So, you know, shout out to my Filipino out there, mabuhay. But yeah, I don't know what it's like to be directly from those home islands. But I know what it's like to be raised by people who were in direct line of that brutality. Okay? And, I mean, my son went to high school here with a kid whose last name is the same last name, is the same paternal lineage of the first dude that set foot on the shores of our city. 400 years later, that family line is still here. Okay? Like, my mother's people, at this point, because of necessity, like, if the entire Filipino diaspora were to return back to the islands overnight, the island population would grow by like a third. It's unbelievable how many folks have to be away from their homes for the rest of their life. My mother is probably never going to see her family again unless they come here. And she hasn't been back home to PI since before I was born. I don't know how to contextualize for y'all the immigrant experience here, especially immigrant experience for kids whose families went through some of the most brutal of the brutalities of some of the foreign wars that have been fought with, you know, American armament and American power. Until you do a history lesson on the immigrant experience in the U.S., on the Filipino experience over the course of the last 600 years, like, I don't know how many of you have ever even heard of the Philippine-American War, but it happened right after the Spanish-American War. But, you know, it's that nebulous time, but like, between the great wars, you know, between the last sexy good wars, the Philippine-American War is one of those wars that is absolutely shameful, and actually, folks really try to erase it from history. But do yourself a favor and look it up, and tell me, you know, that I have no right to complain about the immigrant experience and what my family went through and how it affected us and how it thus trickled down and affected me. Go ahead, I'll wait. But the thing is, you won't. And that's cool too. Like, either way, I'm still gonna complain. Still gonna bitch. I'm Filipina for one. And one thing that we do is, we will tell you about our days. We will tell you about their lives. We'll tell you about all of it. And we'll do it with a smile. Because the amount of burden we carry on our shoulders, we know from long experience, misery shared is misery halved. Also, again, I'm from New England. I'm a Granite State here, kids. Yeah. And, you know, it must be nice that you can come over here to my place and see fit to complain at me. We bitch around here. And we're gonna. I'm gonna. And if you don't like it, that's fine too. Either way, I am still gonna keep on complaining about politics. I am still gonna keep on complaining about income inequality. I am still gonna keep on complaining about the hierarchical pyramid scheme that is the American wealth structure system. I'm not going to stop. Anyway, spent 20 minutes of this D-tier quality video of me telling you that I ain't stopping yapping anytime soon. For those of you who did stick around to the end, my hearing did go tentatively well. I am a little optimistic. I'll do another video more about that in a bit. But for now, I'm going to sign off. Anyway, this has been Anarchy in the 603. I hope you all have a beautiful day. I certainly have been. I'm certainly gonna. And I'm not going to stop bitching. Take care, y'all.